So today I'll just be, since it's an orientation program, so I'll be talking about some basics about this exam, some lessons that I learned also. So before I begin, I would like to talk a little bit about my journey, how I started. And I was listening to what Sis and Ma'am Aotula also said, and I felt that there was a lot of similarities also. So like she said, it was a childhood dream for me as well. So since I was young, it was my father who introduced this idea of civil services to me firstly, very similarly, and very coincidentally also, my dad also used to buy the Competition Success Review magazine, so I just got reminded when she said that. And yes, so I grew up having this dream and this ambition, and I did my schooling in Kohima till class 12, from Mezer. First it was from Christ King Higher Secondary School till class 6, and then from class 7 to 10 it was in Mezer Higher Secondary School. Then for 11 and 12 I did it from Kohima Science College, science stream, and then I did my civil engineering from NIT Nagpur in Maharashtra. So I graduated in 2020, and after that I started my full swing preparation for civil services. But one thing is that my full preparation started after 2020, but in my third year and in my final year of college, I used to read the newspaper, the Hindu newspaper daily, and I also read some basic NCRTs, just even though I didn't have much information, but just so that I could get an awareness and just some foundation for beginning my preparation. So I used to read the newspaper, and I used to read the NCRT textbooks, just lightly brushing over the topics. So I made that foundation, and then after 2020 I started my preparation. So initially my plan was to go for offline coaching in Delhi, but it was during the COVID pandemic, so I had to stay at home, and I took online coaching for 1 year from Rouse IS. So I think it was a blessing in disguise for me, because I was able to prepare comfortably from home, and I did not face any problems. At the same time, I had a very supportive environment at home. So I think it was a blessing in disguise. And so for 1 year, I took one year of preparation, and then in 2021, I gave my first attempt. So that year, I made it to the interview, but I missed the cutoff that year by around 15 marks. And then after that, I was then preparing for NPSC also. In 2021, I gave the exam, and by God's grace, I got a DSP post. And at the same time, I was still preparing for this UPSC exam, and so this was my second attempt, and thankfully I got this rank. So I'm very grateful to God, and also a lot of people have been very supportive. So I'm very grateful to everyone, firstly. And this exam also, I think a lot of us aspirants, we also experience that it's a long process. For some it can be short, some it can be long. So we also learn a lot of lessons and some things that we also learn. So I'll also share with them later as I keep speaking. And sometimes we also tend to enter this exam process as beginners, sometimes without having much idea about what's the next step, or if we clear prelims and when we go to mains, we don't know what each stage requires. So I think before we begin, we have to just have a basic awareness about each stage, about what each stage requires. So I'll just give some basics. I'm sure that a lot of you also are aware, but there are 3 stages: the prelims, mains, and interview. So in prelims, we have GS1 and GS2 papers, and in GS1, of course, polity, economy, these other basic subjects are important. At the same time, in CSET, that is paper 2, I think that the difficulty level is increasing every year. So CSET is also something that we have to focus on, whether it's UPSC or it's NPSC. I think we have to focus on CSET. And secondly, for mains, it's mostly descriptive paper writing. So there are 8 papers in a UPSC exam. 7 of them are they are calculated in the marks, but the last 8 one is only English, and it's qualifying paper. So the 7 papers are where we have to focus on, especially in answer writing and those things. So I'll come to that later also. And third stage is for interview. So for interview preparation, we have to prepare about our background, our, our hobbies, or whatever we are interested in, our academic background, our home state, Nagaland, and northeastern region also. So these are some things that we have to focus on for each stage. And this exam, of course, it's very competitive. Out of, say, 11 lakh people who apply for this exam in 2022, I'm talking about. So out of that, around 5 to 6 people will give the prelims exam. And then from there, around 13,000 people will clear the prelims. And then from those 13,000 people, 2,500 were selected for this interview. They cleared mains. And then from that 2,500 people, the final recommended candidates were 933. So we just see that from the data, it's a very competitive exam. So whatever it is, the first thing and the most important thing is that hard work is very, very essential, and it's absolutely essential. I think that before we begin, we have to be mentally prepared ourselves. So as a beginner, or as if we're entering this exam process, then firstly we have to mentally prepare ourselves that I am going to be willing to give in that hard work. And sometimes we also face challenges. This exam is unpredictable, so sometimes we'll also face failures also, and things might not turn out in our favor. So from the beginning itself, we have to be prepared for that. We never know what the future holds for us, so we have to be willing to give that hard work, that dedication, and also be ready to face those challenges as well. So that's the first thing I want to say. And another thing that I would like to share is that I've given NPSC exam also, but my preparation has been mostly focused on UPSC. So for my NPSC exam, I did not refer any other extra sources. I only read this Nagaland GK book by Ming Tunggoy, and all the others were from my UPSC preparation. So that's what I want to share. One thing, that if you're actually serious about UPSC preparation, if you're preparing wholeheartedly, then NPSC is also, you don't need to refer extra sources except for the Nagaland GK portions. So UPSC preparation is also quite sufficient from my personal experience. So that's one thing I also want to share. And when we are beginning this preparation, like I had mentioned earlier, firstly we have to be very serious about it and really be willing to give in the effort to work for those this thing, and we have to be really wanting to clear this exam. I'm sure that all of us feel that way. And secondly, like Sis Aotula also mentioned, firstly we have to get an awareness about this exam. So that's by getting an idea about the syllabus. So I would recommend all of you to get a print out of the syllabus and just keep revising it, reading through it, and whatever is required in that, whatever is mentioned in that syllabus, I would recommend you to read it properly, because ultimately the entire question paper is based on that syllabus. So syllabus is very important. And another thing is that the newspaper reading is very important as well. Current affairs is very essential, because for prelims and mains and even for interview, current affairs is always a very basic part of it. So keep reading the newspaper, whether it's the national newspaper like the Hindu, or the state newspaper also. So keep reading the newspaper from the beginning itself daily. And another thing is that a lot of us are also confused about whether we should be going for coaching exams, coaching classes or not. So for me also, I felt that coaching was very helpful for me, because being from an engineering background, I had very limited knowledge of humanities subjects also. So that's why I felt that coaching was helpful in giving me that guidance and just catalyzing my performance, my preparation. But the thing with coaching is that we have to give efforts from our side, because obviously a lot of people are taking coaching, but not everyone who takes coaching clears. So that's why that extra effort from our side is very necessary, even if we're taking coaching as well. And my resources also, I would also like to share some things about my resources. since I had taken coaching, it was from Rouse IS. So from there, I had my basic coaching notes. So that I was focusing on that, and I did not refer to these standard books, to be very honest. I only read them for reference, but my basic source was from coaching notes. And for current affairs, I referred to the Vision 365 magazines. That was for the yearly current affairs, and for this also I read this Vision 365 and Rouse Compass magazine as well. So this was my source, and if I had any doubts, then I could always refer to online sources, YouTube channels. Nowadays they're very much popular, and I think for almost every topic we can find them on YouTube. So use YouTube also. And there are so many tools. I think we just have to search for them. Example, this ChatGPT also. I use it so extensively for my interview preparation, and we can just ask anything from ChatGPT, like say what are some important topics in polity for UPSC exam. If we just put those keywords, then I think ChatGPT and other technology, these tools also are very important. So these are my sources, and like Sis Aotula also had mentioned earlier, we have to keep our resources limited, because when we have a lot of resources, then we're not able to focus on one particular book. If we have a lot of standard books, then we're not able to focus on one properly. So what I always feel is that we have to focus on one particular book, focus on it, keep revising it and reading it. And if there are any extra sources which are not included, say any extra topics, then you can refer another book just for reference. And you can also use Google, YouTube, and all other sources just for reference, but keep that one standard book and keep revising it. So having the limited resources is very important, and even for mentally organizing ourselves also, I think we have to keep our resources limited. And another topic that I want to talk about is current affairs. A lot of people also asked me about how I prepared for current affairs. So for me, my source was from the newspaper, The Hindu. I read it regularly, and every day I used to read it in the morning, the first thing in the morning, for around 1 hour. And then the next day, I used to watch these videos of the newspaper explained, like a lot of YouTube channels, like even for me, Rouse IS, the daily news simplified videos. I used to watch it the first thing in the morning, and then after that, I would read the next day's newspaper. So those were my two daily routines for current affairs. And for the annual magazine, I used to read the Vision 365 magazines, whether it's for prelims or whether it's mains. I read them, and I also read the Rouse Compass magazines. So those were my sources, but we also have the monthly current affairs magazines also. So for me, since I could not get the time, I did not read them, but I think that if you have the time, then if you have the time to read it, if you have the time to revise it, then it's much better that you read these magazines also. And that's about current affairs. So I would like to next talk about time management. I think time management is really important. I felt that it was very important for my preparation. So firstly, we have to plan a strategy. We need a strategy. It can be through just listening to toppers videos or some YouTube channels, just get an idea of what all the toppers have done, and from there plan a strategy that is personalized. Because a lot of toppers, they talk about how they have prepared. Even me, I'm also sharing my strategy, but what works for me may not be working for somebody else. So it's important that we have our own strategy, what works for us. So that will come when we're practicing and we keep on preparing. So that comes with time. And so I used to make monthly targets. Firstly, monthly targets, and then divide that monthly target into weekly targets, and then daily targets as well. So just breaking it into smaller parts, that's very helpful. And for the number of hours we study in a day also, I used to study for around, say, 10 to 12 hours in a day. And it depends from person to person if we're preparing. But I feel that now in this exam, a lot of people are very much qualified and very qualified and very talented also. So I feel that whoever is giving more efforts, whether it's in terms of quantity of hours or the quality that we're giving, whoever gives more efforts, the more advantages that they get. So keep increasing. If you're preparing, then I think we have to devote a lot of hours as well for preparing for this exam. And another thing is about note making. So for note making, I started making notes from the beginning itself. And I had my coaching notes, basic notes, and you can also have your own standard books. But how I made notes was that I used to read my coaching notes for around 2 or 3 times, and then after that I made short notes. We have notes which are very bulky, they can be more than 500 pages, so it's very difficult to revise them. So I picked out the most important points from from those notes, and then I made it into, say, 20 to 30 pages notes, just with abbreviations, just making it into very short notes that I don't think others would understand, but I used to make it into short notes, and so it was very helpful for revision, especially when we're nearing prelims or nearing mains. So making short notes. At the same time, I made 2 rounds of notes. So firstly is the notes that I was talking about, and then secondly, after reading those notes, I then made the most important notes, like last minute revision notes. So that was around 2 to 3 pages only. I just picked out the most important points and made notes from there. So just before my prelims or my mains exam, I could revise them directly. So that's about my note making. And another thing is some of us are comfortable with physical notes. Some people make digital notes also. So for my interview preparation, I used digital notes. So there's this app called Evernote, and it's a very good app for organizing our preparation and for updating also. So for digital notes also, I think we can just note down some very important points. Say if we come across some important news from the newspaper, then we can just note down the important points. Just say the topic from that day, and we can always update them later. So digital notes is also another alternative. And next thing I want to talk about is for test series and the previous year questions. So for my prelims, I joined one test series. It was Rouse IAS, and for this you can join any other coaching institute, which is good. Or we also have a lot of free test series available online as well, like this website, free UPSC materials. This website is also there, so they have They have uploaded a lot of coaching test series, so you can also get free test series online. And that's for prelims. For mains test series, I had joined a Vision IAS test series. So that was for my GS preparation. And for optional, since my optional was public administration, I joined this Lukman IAS test series. So both of them were quite helpful for me, and I also learned a lot from making notes from these test series. So these tests, whether it's prelims or mains, we have to make notes from them and also analyze them, spend a lot of time analyzing, making notes from them. So that's something that we have to do, like Sis also had mentioned. And the previous year questions also are very important. So there are some recurring topics and themes in previous year questions. So we have to just analyze them, go through them and study them properly, so that once we have made notes from these previous year questions, then a large part of the syllabus will be covered, because previous year questions obviously are coming from the syllabus. So I think covering the previous year questions very diligently is necessary for this. And so these are some things for test series and previous year questions. So all of these that I have mentioned, these are some preparation specific areas, but this exam has so many things that we are not able to control. A lot of things are outside our control, like even if we are giving our hard work, our dedication, sometimes things just don't turn out in our favor. And another area that we should be focusing on is our health also, physical health, our mental and spiritual health also, because this exam, I think it tests not just our knowledge, but we also have to be prepared physically also. If we're not physically fit or if we're sick, then even if we have that willpower, I don't think we'll be able to give our full dedication. So I think it's important that we're that we're exercising daily, that we are going for walks and taking care of our physical health. Also, for our mental health, also keep surrounding yourselves with people who are supportive of you. Because once we enter this exam process, there are a lot of challenges also. People expect a lot from you also sometimes when you're not able to clear one stage or the other. Or there are also pressures, not just from people, family, but also from yourself. We also have expectations from ourselves. So whatever it is, I think we have to keep surrounding ourselves with people who are supportive, who believe in you and have faith in you. And so that is very important for our mental health and our mental health also. So another thing that I want to share is a backup plan also. I really feel that once we enter this exam, then we have to be prepared for anything that can happen. So I always believe that if we are giving this exam, say, wholeheartedly for the first 2 or 3 attempts, and somehow it's not working out, then I think we have to have a backup plan also, say a plan B. If you're preparing for UPSC, then also give NPSC or other exams, so that also reduces the pressure or those pressures from yourself. So I think it's important that we have a backup plan as well. So today, these are some things that I want to share with you all today. And last but not the least, I just want to encourage all of you also to keep trusting in God, because throughout our preparation, even for my preparation, I've always felt that God has been my source of strength, my motivation. So keep trusting in God, and He has a plan and a timing for all of you. If it's not happening now, then it will happen later. So I just want to encourage all of you to keep trusting in God and keep praying. And I'm sure that your efforts, all our efforts, will be rewarded in the end. So I just want to thank all of you. Thank you, Mavericks Academy, for giving me this time, and may God bless you all. Thank you so much.
It says that by all means marry. If you get a good wife, you'll be happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. So in both ways, you're getting the benefits. So here my point is, by all means, give competitive exam, work hard for competitive exam. If you clear, then you know what will happen, right? And even if you don't clear, like Miss Aotula and both of them have shared that this journey is very enriching. Okay, this journey is very transformative. So I want to encourage you all. Thank you so much. Let's have a break and refreshment.
We want to thank him for giving us for exhorting us with his elderly advice. We convey our gratitude to him. And we want to convey our gratitude to the media fraternity also for covering the program. We will be hoping to see the coverage of the program in the days to come. Most importantly, we want to thank all of you for coming and participating. We know that some of you have even come from your villages, from far off distances to just attend this program. We want to thank you, and we wish you all the best for your civil services preparation journey. And we, on behalf of the Mavericks Academy staff members, we also offer our gratitude to our friends and family members who helped out in organizing this program. Thank you everyone once again for making this program a success. We hope to see you even in the days to come. Thank you.